I want to know the money. I want to know what the details of the settlement are. That's what I want to know. You don't sit up.
It's going to be difficult for you to find that out because Colin Kaepernick does not grant interviews.
Sit up there and get martyred by everybody and their grandmother. All of these over the last 2 years, with everybody making a case about how he's being blackballed.
Well, simple Negroes were making that case. Simple Negroes were doing that. But people who understand what they're looking at, we understood on a far higher level.
He's being ostracized and all of this other stuff. You don't get to sit up there and send out tweets thanking Rihanna and other stars who refused to perform at halftime for the Super Bowl in protest in support of you because their belief was that you have been blackballed.
Oh, the hell with all them fake ass celebrities. They're all a bunch of actors and actresses their damn self. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And if they lost money, good for them. They're a bunch of damn clowns.
And there's a nation of folks, particularly from the minority community, that have been standing up, screaming, hooting, and hollering about how you have been ostracized, how you have been mistreated. And then all of a sudden you quietly reach a settlement and we don't know what the hell it entails. That's my point.
You're not supposed to know. Why would you know? It's confidential. That's the point of it being confidential. You ain't supposed to know, Stephen A. Smith. And I have news for you. It could be that he reached a confidential agreement because they've been working together the whole time. Who the hell knows what's going on with Colin Kaepernick? Because he's not speaking. So his silence opens up things for conjecture and speculation. So that's why I say, you guys who follow behind this dude, and that's why I tell you, brothers, stop looking for a man to save you. All right? Stop looking for a man to save you. You're going to come across people who you admire for their courage or for their intellect or for their humor or for their ability to mix all those three things together or what have you. But at the end of the day, you have to be your own man. You got to stand on your own too. And you have to put the laws of the Most High and the laws of the land as requirements for you to live by and abide by to the best of your ability, as long as they don't conflict with one another. And other than that, you got to be a leader for yourself. You got to do what's best for you and your loved ones. And stop always trying to figure out how to appease people who secretly are trying to figure out how to maintain a very, very deleterious and volatile connection with a group of people that they claim is oppressing them. Our people are very mentally unhealthy, very mentally and spiritually unhealthy, so-called black people are. They're very intent on maintaining this connection like an umbilical cord with the so-called white man. And they try to act as if, they're looking for justice or they're looking for, some type of retribution, and they're really not. They're looking for justification and validation from the Caucasian man. That's all they're looking for. And this nonsense with Colin Kaepernick is going on for too long, and I'm glad that this portion of the story is starting to wrap up. It's not over yet, though, okay? Because I do believe that they're going to try to bring him back into the NFL. I believe that they want to bring him back with the Carolina Panthers. But they're going to have to smooth things out because Kaepernick has to figure out how he's going to reintroduce himself to the masses if and when he decides to do so, because he has to have a few lines ready. If he comes back into the NFL, he's going to have to deal with the press again. He's going to have to deal with the media again. Is he ready for that after 2 years of being put in hiding and Lord knows being put under what type of programming? Is he ready to come forth and speak to the masses and speak to his flock and lead them anywhere? Is he ready to understand that if he comes back into the NFL and he stands for the national anthem, he's going to lose a lot of the esteem that he built up?
Problem with all of this, it says here, as part of that confidentiality agreement, it is believed both sides signed a non-disclosure agreement agreeing not to speak publicly about the details of the case or the settlement. So we don't know what the owners have sacrificed. We don't know what concessions have been reached. We don't know whether you're the sole individual that benefits. The causes that you wanted to bring attention to, that you were insistent that the NFL and society as a whole addresses. We don't know whether or not NFL owners, the league, the Players Association, or anybody else, exactly what they're going to do in order to address your concerns. And
let me say this also. This is the exact reason why, if you're a so-called black man, if you're trying to act like you're going to be a leader for our people who are going through all these issues, you're a damn fool. You're setting yourself up for disaster. Because I promise you, our people, they look for human beings to put on a pedestal so that they can turn on them and blame them for all their problems. Watch, you're going to have a large demographic of former Kaepernick supporters who are going to turn on him, just like our people turn on all flesh and blood leaders. That's why you have to turn to the Most High for leadership.
All I'm saying is that for me personally, again, I don't want the decision to be in the dark.
And when I say leaders, that's in quotes, because Kaepernick ain't no damn leader. He never was. He's a pawn. I just have to make that clear.
Whatever it is, I don't care what it is.
But a couple things.
I think that because of what this morphed into, people have a right to know something other than, oh, we're not going to disclose any details whatsoever.
I understand that impulse, but why should you or anyone else define for Kaepernick what his goals were? Let's start.
Because his goals were based on a platform that involved everybody, not just himself. That's why Stephen A. Smith and the people who allege that believed in Kaepernick or believed in him deserve an explanation. That's why. Now, me, I don't give a shit. I know that he's full of shit from the start. I don't need him to tell me anything because I already know what he's about. I don't need that explanation. But people like Stephen A. Smith and his wokey-woke fan base on the internet, or the internet revolutionaries, or the social justice warriors, or the pansexuals out there from Black Lives Matter, they might want to know what's going on.
Start from the beginning. Mm-hmm. He conscientiously objected to participating in an anthem ceremony. Guess what? Once upon a time, if you did that, apparently, look at Kaepernick, he got drummed out of the league. Mm-hmm. Now that's no longer the case. So even if he doesn't play again, others who feel...
Kaepernick didn't get drummed out of the league because he didn't stand for the national anthem. He got drummed out of the league because he didn't want to re-up with the 49ers. And the other teams that wanted to sign him, he wanted to highball him. He wanted to act like, hey, you guys are not paying me enough money. That's why he wasn't back in the league. The Ravens were ready to negotiate with him, but his woman fucked it all up because she never wanted him back in the NFL anyway. She probably the one who told him not to re-up with the 49ers because she's the hidden hand behind all this shit. She's the one who's been controlling him for the last 2 years.
Feel that they have a conscientious objection to participation don't have to participate if they don't want to. That's number one. Number two, the collusion case. No one else is being colluded against as a result of this. He was, and
how do we know that?
Allegedly, that's the conclusion that you've come to, that he was colluded against. The settlement is not an admission of guilt. All the settlement is, once again, like I stated in the opening of this video, all the settlement is a way for the NFL to say, look, we're moving forward. We don't have time to let this carry on. We don't care how people feel. We're going to have you sign a non-disclosure agreement. You're not going to talk about what you and your lawyers may have found or have proof of. We're not going to talk about what we may have proof of. We're going to move on.
How do we know that? We don't know.
There have been no other players who've been involved, who've been cut from the league. Eric Reid was part of it. Right, but Eric Reid got a job, but he was still part of the agreement.
Right, so if Eric Reid got a job, that means that there was no collusion, you idiot.
He's accused them of colluding. This is a settlement. There's no guilt.
Thank you, sir.
It has been acknowledged on the part of the NFL.
Sure, but it's Kaepernick. Look, why does Kaepernick play football? For the love of the game? If anyone has the love of the game, why, if they're not in the league, are they not playing for fun, tackle football in the park on Sundays? Because it's not for the love of the game. That may be a component of it. You're playing because it's your profession.
Max Kellerman, I have news for you. Eric Reid is more valuable to most of the NFL teams as a safety than Colin Kaepernick is as a quarterback. You cannot synchronize those two positions. Eric Reid getting signed is proof that there was no real league-wide collusion. Now, one can say the only reason why Eric Reid got signed is because Tepper took over as owner of the Panthers. And once again, he is the plug or the conduit for all the wokey-woke social justice warrior NFL players. You could say that. But at the same time, it's proof that there was no real collusion. And beyond that, if we want to prove that there was no real collusion again, we could look at the fact that Pete Carroll brought in Kaepernick for a tryout to see if he was going to be the quarterback for the Seahawks. We can go to the Ravens and how many other teams may have tried to contact Kaepernick, but it was kept in the dark to maintain this mystique around him like he's some martyr or pariah, like he's Muhammad Ali on a forced exile. I mean, this whole thing been a big fucking joke. I've watched the NFL long enough to know that Kaepernick back in 2014, 2015 was thought of as a dude who was a terrible leader, who did not even make eye contact with his teammates in the locker room, who walked around with his headphones on. I'm sure that I'm going to get a message from some cat from out in the Bay Area and say, oh, no, you're wrong about that, blah, 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 blah. But I remember all that shit. To the level where his first handler in the NFL, Harbaugh, just left. He was done with it because he knew that he could not take Kaepernick to another level. Kaepernick had fell off, and then, of course, they brought in that clown Tom Sula. But he was done. All of a sudden, he's trying to reinvent himself as Huey Pete Kaepernick. Like, get out of here.
You make a living. It's a dangerous, violent profession, and even if you love it, it's not like you go out and do it for free. So the point is, of course, it's his business. He just ostensibly got compensated, okay? And he is the only one at this point who doesn't have a job who deserves it in the league as a result of this issue. That's his choice.
Really? So Colin Kaepernick is the only player without a job at any position who, in your estimation, deserves a job. I'm pretty sure that there's probably about 100 dudes sitting on their couch right now who would tell you different, who play wide receiver or D tackle or inside linebacker or tight end or what have you, who think that they deserve a job in the NFL and they were done wrong. I'm sure of that. I could pretty much guarantee you that.
I want to come and answer your question directly. You're saying that, all right, it's his choice, it's his choice. I get that argument, Max. But what I'm trying to say is it was a cause. You addressed the cause. You wanted things addressed. The settlement is going to tell me what you settled for. The settlement is going to tell me whether or not it was about you or it was about the cause that you purported it was about. Max. The details of it is going to give me fodder. It's going to give me information to know exactly what is it that you stand for. If the owner makes a second argument, listen to this. If the owner, if we find out that the owners gave him $25, $30 million, okay?
I'm sure it's probably more than that. They probably gave that man somewhere around 50 mil.
You ain't gonna be in the league, okay? Or if you come back in the league, you gonna stand for the national anthem.
Absolutely. You better believe that, Stephen A. Smith.
Anthem now. This is what you're gonna do, okay? We're not giving any additional dollars to any cause or anything like that. We're gonna give you this money. Shut up. Come back and play, and you capitulate to that. Then that goes against everything that you've been saying.
I want to direct.
Simple as that, and that's the conundrum that he's in right now. Because now he's taking their money. So the only way that anybody could say that Kaepernick is the winner in this situation is, number one, if he's allowed back in the NFL. Number two, if he still is not standing. If he's still getting on one knee after he got their money in the settlement, then you know he won. And that he has some information on them that would be explosive. But if he either, number one, does not come back into the NFL, or number two, comes back into the NFL and he's still standing for the national anthem, then you're going to know that they have something on him, or that he was doing it for the money, or the frustration at losing his starting position the whole time.
Directly.
I'm not saying he did that. Please don't understand. I don't know.
I get it.
I'm saying I want to know.
Issues there. One, I agree that I would have also preferred to know the terms, but not knowing the terms to me is not a deal breaker. If you're...
Of course, because you don't need to know the particulars, because you're a super liberal Caucasian Jew. You're always going to side on the side of anarchy. That's the whole point. That's why what you say cannot be trusted.
Your point is that, Max, once others say, I kneel with Cap or I stand with Cap, then it's bigger than just what Kaepernick wants. He has to consider that unless he plays in the league again and doesn't stand for the anthem, he has let people down. That's a different story. But again, whatever other people's feelings were about the symbol Kaepernick became, he has a right to say, wait a minute, I conscientiously objected to the ceremony. That was important to me. If he feels like he now can stand for it, he feels that in his heart and he does it, that's up to him. If he is in...
No, sir. That's not up to him. Once you claim to be a leader for a whole group of people, what you do is not based on what you yourself want. You do things based on what you believe is best for the collective that you allege to represent. That is the point of being a leader. That's why it's dangerous to allege that you're a leader. Because a leader does not think of himself first. He thinks of the collective that he claims to represent first. So he cannot get on one knee and kneel and claim that he's doing so because he has an issue with police brutality and he's not going to stop his protest until police brutality is dealt with, and then come back into the NFL and stand and say, I no longer have an issue with the national anthem. No, you can't play games like that, sir.
Instead, never never gets to play in the league again, but now others don't have to stand for it. Then he has made...
Max,
can I just make one small point here? Max, you're claiming victory on the collusion settlement on points that were accomplished before this. The NFL's policy on the anthem had changed before the settlement of this collusion. This collusion case was about proving whether or not the NFL had blackballed, as you pointed out, Colin Kaepernick. Where we stand today, we have a clear draw. We do not know. That is what a settlement is. The only thing that was accomplished was some sum of money. You can attach wins or losses to that money based on your own interpretation, but we don't know.
By the way, Max and Will, it is entirely plausible because you got to remember, you're talking about team. Let's say, for example, the NFLPA had gotten involved and they had filed a grievance and they had been proactive in all of this as opposed to deferring to Kaepernick's wishes in terms of him and his agent handling it instead of them. Let's just sit up there and say that they had positioned the NFL owners to try to force them to disclose text messages, emails, things of that nature. It is entirely plausible that the NFL was completely innocent of collusion, but there's other dirt.
Absolutely.
There's other dirt.
Exactly. That's the point, sir.
Dirt that they didn't want out there, which is why.
By the way, I think a lot of people think that's likely, and I want to address that now.
Okay.
We can sit here and say the collusion case is really about a larger point. Hey, the NFL should not be able to unfairly drum someone out of the league because it's convenient or inconvenient for them.
Right, but you keep saying that the NFL unfairly drummed someone out of the league. That's based off of a straw man argument because that has yet to have been proven. What we know once again is that Colin Kaepernick was a marginal quarterback who was bringing a level of antipathy towards a certain aspect of the energy of the sport that was hurting the league. What I mean by that is this. The fans come to NFL stadiums and put on NFL football games to forget about what's going on in society. He has the right to protest during an NFL game in the stadium. But what he does not have the right to do, and what none of his followers have the right to do, is act like they don't understand why he would no longer be welcome there. That's why I use the analogy of if you were a business owner, you might have a great employee. But if they're doing certain things that are stopping customers from coming into your establishment, you are going to let them go. It's not going to matter that he's the best barber at your barber shop or she's the best hairdresser at your hair salon. If they're stopping your customers from coming in, if they're distracting people, you're going to have to let them go. It's the same thing with Kaepernick, and Kaepernick is not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He made himself expendable long before he decided that he was going to engage in a stunt that was going to cause the ratings to drop. He was already on the bench to begin with.
Their behavior, right? But Colin Kaepernick may say, no, wait a minute. This suit for me is I'm unable to make a living in my chosen profession as a result of that. And what's important to me is that I can. And I think it would be fair to say when we say, how does Colin Kaepernick look now? None of us assume this is a low sum of money. I think the assumption is, do you assume that this is not a large sum of money?
I honestly have no idea.
Max, I honestly have no idea.
Hold on.
I would get somewhere around 50 mil.
Hold on, Will. Max Kellerman, this is a quote from Colin Kaepernick over a year ago. He says,
Are you sure it's from him?
If they take football away from me, my endorsements away from me, I know that I stood up for what is right. Sure. And
signed, Ness Nitty.
And that is what matters most. So again, what I'm saying to you is, I'm addressing what you said.
Yep.
I'm simply saying that not disclosing, not revealing anything, and leaving folks in the dark as to what really transpired with this settlement.
I understand the non.
Stephen A. Smith, just be honest. Be honest about this whole thing. What you really feel is that Colin Kaepernick is full of shit. That's what you really feel. You really feel like he's full of shit. Because at the end of the day, he has the right to ask for money and get his money because he knows damn well that he's never going to change police brutality. The whole stunt was just for him to get attention and to bring anarchy into the NFL in the first place. That's all it was about. So he has the right, to try to initiate a money grab. It is what it is. Just get on TV and say how you really feel, but you can't say that because you don't want the wokey wokes to blow up your Twitter feed and your Facebook and your Instagram and all that other shit. So you have to act like you're interested in the nitty gritty and the minutia of what the official settlement report is going to tell you.
Disclosure again. points to the draw point.
Go ahead.
Question: do you assume it's a large sum of money or a small sum of money?
I assume. What's your definition of large?
Millions of dollars.
Well, definitely not
millions
millions.
of dollars. It's millions. Yeah, sure. So in other words, he loses his he got paid off a contract, but he loses endorsements. But we all assume.
What endorsements did he lose? He signed to Nike. They had one of the more famous ads in recent memory a few months ago. So what did the man lose? I don't remember him being on a bunch of commercials before that.
He just settled for millions of dollars. So did he stand up for something? Yes. Did he make a difference? Yes. Was he compensated if they had voted against him? Yes.
He makes millions of dollars a year from Nike. I don't know what the
Thank you, sir.
definition of a large sum is right now, and I don't think we know what the answers to those questions are. We're going to do more of this a little bit later in the show. We're not done with this.
Okay.
We're not done with this.
Okay.
But
anyway, I'm about done with this, at least from the standpoint of talking about Colin Kaepernick. I don't think that this is the last time that we're going to hear from this character. I think that they're going to try to either refurbish him and repackage him to bring him back into the NFL, most likely with the Carolina Panthers, or he's just going to float off in an attempt at anonymity, at least for a moment, until they can reprogram him and repackage him and send him out in some other type of way. But once again, brothers, does any of this surprise me? No, it does not. I knew that eventually they were going to have to work out some type of deal because both parties have too much dirt on them to allow this court issue to remain where it was. It would have just sullied both parties, because I guarantee you the NFL has as much dirt on Kaepernick as Kaepernick has on them. And just as a cost-effective procedure, it makes no sense to go back and forth when the NFL is back on track to where it was about 3-4 years ago. Once again, the ratings came back up. Just go through with the divorce, give your ex-wife the money that will keep her mouth quiet, and send her on her way for a future of misery. So peace.